Hello, everybody. How's everyone doing today? Well, I wanted to give you an opportunity to just check in with your truth, your inner truth. There's been a lot of things that are going on in our world where we are questioning what is true. Is it true for me? Is it true for this other person? How can I live in a community where our different truths can actually coexist and support each other? Um, but we are in a time where we really are needing to listen to the subtle truths, stuff we've held back. It's part of the whole Me Too movement, was about unraveling what is true for me. What is really what I need to be healthy and happy and strong and full of life in the world. So these are important questions. And it's not like there's one absolute truth, right? There's so many different levels of, like, what does my body tell me is true? All of these different truths. But knowing what's true for you is the most important process. Knowing that, living it, breathing it, making decisions from that place, and yet living with others who you may have to think what is true for them. Especially if you're a parent or if you're someone who's guiding others in a community, listening to their wisdom and their guidance, or just listening to a woman or man in your life who it's important for you to hear what is their truth, and how do you interact with that. So part of why I'm here in the work that I do is to help you figure out what that is for yourself. Sometimes you need practice. If you haven't been talking about what's true for you for a long time, or if you had to hide it because you didn't feel safe or comfortable in a community or situation, what happens is you don't have an opportunity to flesh out and really hear the nuances of your truth, right? You need places to do that. You need the ability to hear yourself speaking it, and you go, maybe not all of that is totally true for me, and you go, But if you haven't had a chance to really listen to your body or listen to yourself or listen to what you need, you'll never know the depths of where it can take you. So divine truth, you're finding your divine truth is so important because it brings clarity. It's this clear, this is just so true for me. And it resonates with you. It might be goosebumps up and down. Yeah, that's true. Ooh, or maybe you breathe better in your body when you're like, that's just so true for me right now. Or I need some guidance, or I need some self-care right now. That might be really true for you. So knowing how truth interacts with you is so beautiful. It's so important, right? And it may change over time, different seasons of your life. That's not so much true for me. Yeah, but at the time, unless you have an opportunity to practice it, you don't know what to let go of, even, right? So truth is important. So I just wanted you to just think about what is true for you. What makes you happy? What brings you self-care and joy and healing? What supports you as you move forward in your life? We've had a chance with this lockdown to kind of go inward a bit. And now we're slowly, we're still in that process of, well, what is true for me? What do I want to do in my life? How do I want to move forward in my community and in my relationships, right? What is important to you? So these are really good questions, and not to get caught up in other people's truths if it's breaking you off your center. So it's important to know what that is. And some truths might be something that our parents really held as important, or our ancestors, and maybe we're adapting and we don't need all of those things anymore that maybe kept us in a certain frame of mind. Right? So we might be breaking out of some ways of being that we just don't need anymore, just like. So these are important questions, and they're going to be different for everybody. But I came upon a prayer about truth, so I thought it would be important to read it. It's by Alana Fairchild in the Crystal Mandala Oracle Guidebook, page 49. And it was just really a beautiful prayer. And so it's about seeking and knowing truth in all layers of your being. So this is part of it. I choose to allow my mind to become empty of preconceived notions and expectations, assumptions, and opinions about what can or cannot be. Instead, I open my mind willingly to be impressed upon by divine truth. The revelation of truth, of guidance, of insight, and of understanding happens at the perfect time and in the perfect way for me through prayer, meditation, thoughts and visions that pop into my mind spontaneously through my dreams and my inner knowing of my body. When a revelation is true, I know it is unconditionally loving. I'm going to repeat that. When a revelation is true for me, right? I know it is unconditionally loving. And sometimes something might be really hard to hear, right? But it's loving, and it's like this clear sword that cuts right through it and goes, yeah, that was hard to hear, but it's really true. And there's a love behind it. There's something that supports you underneath it, right? So remember that. I'm going to repeat that one more time. When a revelation is true, I know it is unconditionally loving. So you feel that love. When a revelation seems fearful to my body or mind, I know it is a sign that fear is leaving my mind and my body. And I wait for the loving insight to follow with complete trust. Through divine mercy and unconditional love, so be it. So this is like the nugget, I thought, that of this prayer that was so beautiful. It says, when something seems fearful to the body and mind, it's a sign that fear is leaving. That means like it's an untangling, it's a loosening of an old construct or paradigm or way of seeing the world. And your soul, your being, is saying, you know what? You're strong enough to let that go now. And it might be one last hurrah, that kind of shakes you up a bit. But it's a leaving, it's a going away. And to notice that, it's not really true. It's just an old belief system that's kind of jangling the cages a bit, right? And this is going to be really key for people as we decipher what is true for us. Remember, real truth is there's a piece behind it, like when you get guidance to stop the car, or when you've had to be protective of a loved one, there's this very peaceful, it might be a warning, but it's a very it's not like judging you, it's not freaking you out, it's not calling you bad names, it's just going, it's very clear, right? Move to the side, hold your kid's hand right now, there's just boom, and it's very clear, right? There's a love behind it, right? But when it's a fear, then it usually has this thing like, you're a bad person, or da 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 da, and there's this judgment that goes with it, right? There's a judging, icky, funky energy that brings you down. That's important to notice. So if that's operating, go, oh, that's not really true. It might be something that people are fearing right now that I'm near, right? There's a little chaos going on. Or it might be a fear leaving, like we said, leaving your body, right? So just say, okay, I will wait. I will rest. I will give myself self-care, extra love when that fear is up, and go, okay, let's love this part. That should be the automatic response. I I will love myself right now in whatever way that I need, and wait for the insight, and wait for the clarity, and wait for the loving response. Okay? Don't react immediately. That pause, creating a moment of pause in your life, is really important. And if you do react, it's okay. It's okay. You go, okay, I reacted. All right, let me back up. All right, pull back. Let me get quiet again. Let me take care of it. Did I eat well? Did I get some rest? Do I need to just lay low for a bit and just let my body just calm? And then just sit in a silent prayer meditation. If you have a practice, do that and wait. And usually something comes that comes from that truthful place. Very peaceful, right? Loving, clear, right? There's a support there. There's a steadiness there, right? Even if it's a hard thing you have to do. Listen for that voice. Wait for that voice. Then act. Then move forward. These are beautiful, beautiful ways for us to figure out what is true for me. And it's a process, and it takes time, right, to develop. And there's many levels of it, right? Because you might have an inner child that had a traumatic memory that came up and might have to speak a truth about that memory before it can let it go, right? Okay, so that's a different type of truth, too. It's a true thing. Some of it is going to be a truth that's going to remain with you. Some of it's going to be like, I just need to say that I was really scared in that moment when that happened. And that is true. But that's not something you need to hold on to forever. But it needs to be spoken. It needs to be honored and witnessed. Sometimes with community, sometimes with support. And then you can go, you know what? After a while, I'm not afraid of that memory anymore. It was this thing that happened. I needed to speak the truth of it. And that's what's great about this time now. We're having opportunities to hear other people's truths of when they had it hard and they hid it. Right? This is important for you too. What have you hidden as a truth that needs to be expressed, understood by you, more importantly, but also by community? Those who care about you are going to hear your truth and go, you know what? I love you enough to hear this truth from you. And I think Brené Brown said, it's rare to find friends who can really hear you, right? And when you have one, you hold on to them because they are honoring the part of you, all parts of you, right? But they're honoring your true voice. And they're willing to be there with you as you transform some of those truths too, right? But be that person for yourself. So notice, what is fear? Is it leaving you? You might even know the belief system that's leaving you. Might come to you and you're like, oh my gosh, I used to believe this. And my soul says, I don't need to believe that anymore because I'm bigger than that. The love that's in me is bigger than that mind belief. Whoa. So look for what's supportive of you, what your body says. And if you don't know what those are, connect with me. We can work together one-on-one and figure out what is true for me in my body. What is true for me in my gut? What is true for me from the past that I haven't spoken? Because if we're going to move forward with a balance, male, female, divine feminine, divine masculine within each of us, right, we need to have all of those parts unhidden, right? They're out there. Know what they are. Practice speaking them so that we can become more streamlined in our truth of who we are. If you need support, contact me. We'll do a free consult. We'll talk. We'll see if we can work together and do some truth clarity sessions, do some yoga, work long term. I'm here for you. But if there's anything I want you to remember is this prayer. Your truth is worth it.